Hey, what's up guys? So with Rescue Rabbit recently getting reprinted, I kind of want to just talk about, not giving up in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm not talking about not giving up as far as, not quitting the game when you think your opponent has the game. I'm talking about not giving up kind of on your deck, essentially, is what I mean. And the thing is, you have to realize Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game slightly based off of luck. Sometimes you don't draw the right cards, your opponent draws all the things that kind of counter what you have in your hand. And that happens, and you got to understand that, it is a game of slight luck. But that said, Dino Rabbits is kind of one of those decks where sometimes if you don't open up with the right hand trap or the right cards to answer their first turn, you will be, in a position basically to lose. Now that said, what I'm saying with this is not to think that your deck can't handle Dino Rabbits. Sometimes Dino Rabbits or certain other decks, but I'm going to use Dino Rabbits as an example because Duel Network is kind of flooded with it at the moment. There's so many people playing this deck because, everything just got reprinted. And, you can't blame people because they've probably experienced it themselves, and now that they want to kind of, oh, I got Dino Rabbit now I want to play it and kind of experience how the deck really plays. But, that said, let's say, for example, that your opponent plays Dino Rabbit. They open up, really good. I mean, they open up Rescue Rabbit and you don't have the Maxi, you don't have the Veiler. They summon Rabbit, they get Rabbit's effect off, they go for a Logia, and then they set Solemn Judgment. And at that point, you're really at a position, basically, unless you have a really amazing hand, you're in a position basically to lose the game. Especially if they have a Tour Guide next turn when they go for Levier, and they can basically game you. But that said, it doesn't mean that you have to change your deck, because I've seen a lot of players, sometimes I'll be playing Agents or something, and I'll, have multiple Hyperion in my hand, and if I have like an OTK with them, they think, oh, my deck isn't good. But that said, it's not that their deck wasn't good, it's just you had a really good hand. And I'll put a video in the annotation basically as an example to where it really didn't matter what the player, was able to do, because they just didn't have the hand. Like, regardless of who was playing that deck in that position, you basically were in a position to lose. And it really wasn't your deck's fault. Unless you're playing, some cards, for example, if you're playing Judgment Dragon in a deck that doesn't have any Lightsworn, yeah, then that would be, something that just, is a bad deck, essentially. But that said, I just wanted to say, don't give up on your deck. Sometimes you will lose because this game is slightly based off of luck. I know with Chaos Dragons, last format, when they opened up with Future Fusion, you were in a position basically to almost lose because this card just sets up so much advantage, and you have to realize in Yu-Gi-Oh, it is a game based off of luck. And, there's a lot of different, skill involved, depending on what you, have in your hand and all that good stuff. But that's what's awesome with the game is, you can definitely see when players don't make the best move with the cards that they have in their hand. But that said, I just want to tell you guys not to give up on your deck. When you lose, don't think you have to change your deck. Hey, it happens. I've seen, decks that are really good lose, and they think, oh, maybe I need to change my deck, or maybe this deck isn't good. And I just kind of want to tell you guys that, it happens. Don't think that your deck, again, isn't, a tier 1 deck simply because it loses. You don't have to play your tier 1 deck essentially to win at Yu-Gi-Oh! There's been so many surprise factors. TGs pop up all the time. Last format, TGs popped up several times. And there's just a lot of, awesome, innovative things that you can do. You can play cards that no one really plays, and that's essentially what really will give you the edge in certain games because, they don't have the side deck ready. And with that said, don't think that you have to net deck essentially to play the game and essentially win. When you're playing your maybe tier 3, tier 4 deck and you don't essentially win all the time, keep in mind that it just happens. Sometimes you just don't get the best hand, or your opponent has all the cards that kind of counter what you have. So I hope this helps you guys boost up your morale a little bit, because sometimes even myself, I'll lose to the point where I'm like, what, I don't really want to play this deck. But then I really gotta tell myself sometimes that my opponent, if he opened up really amazing, it happens. I mean, you can't say that you haven't ever opened up really amazing, because everyone's probably seen Judgment Dragon and their opponent gets out third turn Judgment Dragon, and you're like, okay, it's cool. They blow up the field, okay, let me draw. Okay, I didn't draw Dark Hole, okay, I basically lose. Don't think, oh, I gotta jump on the bandwagon, gotta be playing that Lightsworn to win the game. The thing is, your opponent maybe just got really lucky with those cards that he milled. Maybe he got lucky with, Tragic Light Brigade milling Triple Wolf. I've seen it happen. I've seen people draw Triple Wolf and, multiple Necro Guardians. It happens. It's a game of luck, and I just want to say, don't give up on your decks. Even though, you might be playing something completely different, that hasn't seen any play, and if you lose to, a tier 1 deck, don't think that your deck isn't good. Again, unless you're playing something that's like conjunctional to the point where, I mean, if you only play 4 Light Sworn monsters and then you throw in a Judgment Dragon, like a tech Judgment Dragon, for only playing 4 Light Sworns, yeah, that might not be the best idea. But that said, just don't give up on some of your decks that you're playing. Just see what works in the deck and definitely test it out and see, what kind of works and kind of work with your deck essentially. So yeah, I hope this helps you guys out, kind of understand what I'm saying. You can click on the link and you can check out a video against me dueling the worst player ever, which is Foxy. But yeah, I've dueled her multiple times, but this time I really think that it was one of those times where she shouldn't have given up on her Inzektor deck simply because I had like such an awesome play, and it's just because I had the awesome cards, she didn't have a response, and it happens. That's part of Yu-Gi-Oh! But I hope this helps you guys out, and good luck with not giving up, because I know there are so many times where I've wanted to give up on a deck, but I just kind of, you got to modify the deck, see what works, and you just got to stick with it sometimes. But sometimes if your record is like maybe like you've gone on like 100 loss winning streak, maybe it's time to look into another deck. But what I'm saying is, if you're playing a deck that that is like tier 2, tier 3, and you lose, you don't need to change the deck. You don't need to choose a different deck either. Just believe in the heart of the cards, and sometimes you can sack your opponent harder than they can sack you. But thanks for watching, guys. It's netwotk Dragon signing out.